Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This is Jodie Siemens from Taking Perspective. This is running live in the Organisational Secrets for Empowered Women's group. Today we're doing a webinar on self-acceptance and are we embracing it? So I just want to make a note at this time that on the 24th, so next Friday, the webinar is going to be at 12 p.m. I just have a few things I need to do in the morning. So I'm just shuffling it out to 12 p.m. and it will be also 12 p.m. on the Friday, the 1st of July. So I will also mention that again at the end, and it will be in the posts, that just so you all understand that there's just an updated time for a couple of weeks. Okay, let's get into it. What I might do is I might just reduce my box here and I will open it periodically also. Just seems to get in the way of the slides. I'm not trying to hide from you. Okay, I'll just check the chat, make sure there's nothing there. Popped a good morning in the chat box. Okay, all right. So those of you who registered but could not make it live this morning and are not a member of the group, you'll receive a copy of this webinar in your email box. Please look out for that. I do suggest you register for them, as I often send other little bits and pieces in the emails also. Okay, so here we go. Self-acceptance and are we embracing it? So today what's up for discussion is what it is, the importance of self-acceptance, what do we mean, what does it mean to actually embrace yourself, and how do we practice self-acceptance? So the first slide here is what is the importance of self-acceptance? Okay, self-acceptance gives you more confidence in yourself and makes you less vulnerable to criticism. So when we feel good about ourselves, we tend to allow things, you know, the old expression, water off a duck's back. Okay, so it means to deeply and totally accept every aspect of yourself, unconditionally and without exception. So to achieve self-acceptance, you must learn to accept the parts of yourself that you might consider negative or undesirable. And you also need to accept the parts of yourself that are positive traits. We tend to not, even when we're our worst but best criticizers, as in we'll pick on all our negative parts, but we tend to play down our positive traits. So we really need to accept those also. Okay, self-acceptance means recognizing recognizing your own value beyond your own personal attributes, actions, and understanding that it is fundamental for overall health and well-being. Okay, the next slide. We tend to hide, neglect, and reject the parts of ourselves that we consider unacceptable, the parts of ourselves that we don't like, or we consider that others may not like, and that's, you know, passing potential judgment because we don't know that for sure. We would rather change them than actually accept them. On the flip side of this, when you have high levels of self-acceptance, it really does tend to boost your mood. It puts us in a happy place, and it tends to shield us from all the negativity and the negative emotions that we can potentially take on. Things like anxiety, stress, and even anger. Okay. So although we might, it might be counterintuitive to like accept them, we may see it that way, but self-acceptance actually helps us change the aspects of ourselves that we are less fond of. So in the previous slides, we talked about how we tend to hide or neglect the parts that we don't like instead of accepting them. And you know, we try to change those parts, and it really is just about self-acceptance. And once you understand what it is that you don't like, you can then, the first step is awareness, and the next step is you being able to make the change towards a more desirable aspect that you will like. So a lack of self-acceptance limits our capacity for happiness. It keeps us focused on the negative aspects of ourselves, and these negative thoughts create negative emotions. Okay, and that's when I talked about before. On the flip side of that, you know, allowing us to being high self-acceptance people tends to put your mood in a different place, put your mindset in a different place, and it allows you, that mindset tends to shield us a little bit from all these negative emotions. Here's a quote here by Brene Brown. If you don't know her, she is an author, podcaster, and she is renowned in the industry for her work on vulnerability and shame, resilience. There's a few other things that she specializes in, but I believe it's mainly shame and vulnerability. So because here's a quote of hers, because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. So here we've got, what does it mean to embrace yourself? So to embrace yourself means to let go of all the harsh, self-recriminating stuff that we say about ourselves, that we talk about ourselves and our own identities. It's really about making sure that you happily accept who you are, your own individuality and your own uniqueness. So embracing yourself means that you are aware of your weaknesses without having an emotional attachment to them. So this self-awareness can help us improve our behaviors and build better habits and behaviors on top of that. So learning to accept ourselves helps us to be less critical. It helps us to create more of a positive and compassionate and more balanced view of who we are as an individual. And I think that's really important, to have that balanced view. So embracing ourselves unconditionally allows us to bridge the gap. So this is important. I'll start again. Embracing our unconditional selves, embracing ourselves unconditionally allows us to bridge the gap between us needing to be forgiven and actually forgiving ourselves. Okay, this is an essential part of being able to let go of that negative cycle and actually move forward. So self-acceptance allows you to bridge the gap between needing to be forgiven and actually forgiving yourself. Okay, self-acceptance helps you to realize that failure doesn't define us and is always something we need to learn from as a part of our path to success. So self-acceptance can give us more confidence in ourselves. It helps us understand that our perceived negative qualities don't define us or our worth. So when you are a confident person, you're more likely to take action in spite of your fears. In contrast, a lack of self-acceptance will hold you back. It will stop you from being able to go after your dreams. So confidence gives us a greater sense of independence. It allows us to make better decisions for ourselves without needing the approval of others. And here I have another quote from a lady called Sharon Salzberg. She's also an author. You can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself. And the person is not to be found anywhere. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserves your love and affection. So how do we actually practice self-acceptance? So we need to understand that being able to self-accept ourselves puts us in a position that helps control our emotions. It allows us to be able to reflect and react when faced in situations that may cause us uncertainty, like stress and anxiety and even anger. So it's really about being able to step back and reflect and react and have control when you're doing that. True self-acceptance just does not happen overnight. Daily practice and self-care can help you gradually increase your level of self-acceptance over time. So here are 4 positive actions that you can take to help you increase your level of acceptance. And you can start these today. They're simple and easy, and they can be done on a daily basis. So the first one is there, be kind to yourself as you are to others. Okay, so nixay on the judgment. Seeing situations as good or avoid seeing situations as good or bad, and just see them for what they actually are. Okay. The next one is see your mistakes as opportunities to learn. So accepting yourself is not weakness, and people need to understand that. It's really about accepting your current situation, pivoting in that situation with a revised plan of attack. So approach your setbacks in a positive way and embrace how they make you feel. Okay, you need to lean into the emotions, not neglect them. The third one there, notice things you do well, however small. So being in a positive mindset pushes you forward. You start to acknowledge that your shortcomings matter less. You tend to let go of the things that do not serve you in your current situation. And the fourth one, reframe your negative thoughts. This is a big one. This one may take a little bit more time. Some people can do it on the spot. If this is something that you're used to doing, other people, it takes a little bit of practice. So the idea behind it is negative beliefs are your voice of your inner critic. They cause a lot of suffering, and they will prevent you from reaching your unconditional self-acceptance and many other things in your life. So being able to reframe your negative beliefs and emotions and thoughts, simply, if you're a first timer to this or still getting the knack of it, write them down every time they pop up. So just as an example, we'll use this belief. You believe that you're a bad person for something you've done in the past, okay? So you need to write that down. So once you've written down a list of what your negative beliefs, thoughts, and emotions are, and you can do this on a daily basis. You might 2 or 3 might pop into your head depending on where your mindset is. And then once they're written down at a certain time of the day, give yourself the space to go through each belief and reframe it. And you do this by challenging each statement. So when you read out the statement, the example I gave you, if you believe you're a bad person for something you did in the past, ask yourself in that moment as you read that, is this true? Okay, so that's how you try to reframe it. Is this true? Is this statement true? Okay, then replace each statement with positive self-talk. So in light of the example, I'm a good person, I'm only human, and sometimes I make mistakes. So that's reframing. Always start by challenging the statement with the words, is this true? Okay, so in summary, self-acceptance will bring you joy, contentment that is independent of all external factors. It's about your inner self. Okay, self-acceptance will encompass every aspect of yourself. It allows you to see yourself for who you really are beyond all external achievements. Another quote here by Heather Buckmaster, who is also an author. Often it's not about becoming a new person, but becoming the person you were meant to be and already are, but don't know how to be. That's a good one. I like that. Okay, so next week's webinar, how do you deal with disappointment? It's Friday, the 24th of June. As I said earlier in this webinar, next Friday will be at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Australia. Again, on Zoom, I will provide the link in the comments for those and emails for those who registered for today's webinar. Yeah, and I'll pop the link in the comments to this so you have next week's. Also, something exciting happening here. What we've got is the full launch is actually on Monday. So you're going to get a few links in today's webinar. And that reminds me, I have to pop them somewhere else, but I have other links. So the full launch is on Monday, yet for those who registered for this webinar and you're in my group, the launch starts today. I have a free ebook that I've been working on, and it's called The 4 Truths About Vulnerability. So I will pop the link in for that, and I do hope you register for it and download it. It's got a lot of nice stuff in there for people to understand the truths and myths around vulnerability. So, and also another special webinar. It's going to be held on Monday, the 4th of July at 10 a.m. on Zoom. And the special webinar is on why vulnerability is an important part of being human. Often we see vulnerability and it's been accepted as something of a weakness. And I think people need to change their mindset around that and understand that we do vulnerability every day, whether we actually like it or not. And it's not easy. So it's that webinar is really about pointing out and helping people understand what it means to be vulnerable and how it can enhance every aspect of your life by just being able to tune into your vulnerability just even a little bit. So yeah, so a few links today. So I will put in the link for next week's webinar. I will pop in the link for the free ebook. Yay. 4 Truths About Vulnerability, and I will also pop in the link for the special webinar. That webinar also includes a free workbook because we'll be working through some stuff, and it will be a little bit longer than the usual webinars, 30 to 45 minutes, depending on discussion. It will also be recorded, so if you cannot attend and still want to be a part of that in your own space and at your own leisure, please still register. Okay, so you can find me on all the socials. We've got YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Anchor. My Anchor podcast is called Empowering Ordinary Women. And you can also find me on TikTok now. We need to add that to the socials page. Again, thank you everyone for joining me here today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love doing this webinar, to be honest. It was really nice. I find it just nice information to be able to give to people. I really enjoyed it. So over and out for today. Thank you for joining me.